We are in Psalm chapter 22. Last week we made it to verse 11, I do believe. But first off, we're just going to describe where we're going to be this evening. Verses 12 to 18 is the crucifixion. And in fact, from 12 to 18, we could divide that up still, but it is the crucifixion itself. And Jesus was in extreme agony leading to this. And it is before his trial and his crucifixion. There is immense pressure on him. Never think that somehow this was easy. It was not. There was nothing easy about it. He is dying for the sins of the world. Everything is on his shoulders. The salvation of those in the past would have been resting on him. Whether we're talking about Noah or Lamech or Abraham or Moses, all would be resting on him, and anyone beyond that age, such as us, resting on him. It's all on him, and he is the difference between heaven and hell. He is the difference between redemption and not redeemed. Redemption and the debt is still there. It is absolutely unpaved. It hasn't been paid at all. Now, I just want us to look at something here. This is at Gethsemane. This is Luke 22, beginning in verse 41. And he was withdrawn from them about a stone's throw, and he knelt down and prayed. And this is what he prayed, saying, Father, if it is your will, take this cup away from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. Now watch what happens next. Then an angel appeared to him from heaven, strengthening him. So here is help from God, who is there, helping him, strengthening him. There is an angel there. Look what happens next. And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly. The angel helped, but it's not as though the pressure was off of him. It's not. He's still under an extraordinary amount of pain and agony, being in agony. Then his sweat became like great drops of blood falling down to the ground. He's in extraordinary stress. This is emotional, and emotional goes physical. Even though an angel has been there, that doesn't take the pressure away. That's just to help him continue on. Help him continue on. Now, he's already had Moses and Elijah there on the Mount of Transfiguration, and they are discussing what is about to happen. Now, with this angel is there to help him, help to strengthen him, and yet he's still in agony. This is not an easy thing. It's not easy at all. Now, Psalm 22, we will go from great anguish, from verses 1 to 21. You have great sorrow and anguish. You have the present suffering. Then verses 22 to 31, you have the future glory and great victory and joy. There is a distinct cutoff between the two, going from one verse to the next. There is this point, and it is in verse 21 where everything changes. 21 is that last verse of this present suffering, and then 22 is the future glory. Now, we're not going to get to 22 this evening. We're just not going to be able to. Here's a basic outline of the psalm. We kind of went over that last week. But we're going to look at this verse first. We talked about this verse last week. Be not far from me, for trouble is near, for there is none to help. And this is in a small section here of I have always trusted you. And he is speaking to the Father. I have always trusted you. There's a small section prior to that of Israel and Israel trusting in God. God always helped. Here is this small section that I have always trusted you. Help me. Help me like you helped Israel through all that time. Help me. And I just want to bring out these three verses. Galatians 3 and 13. Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law, having become a curse for us, for it is written, cursed is everyone who hangs on a tree. All right, Christ brings the law to its designed conclusion, to its purposed end. The law of Moses was not meant to take us into eternity. It can't do that. The law of Moses cannot take away sins, because the sacrifice of bulls and goats can take away no sins. None at all. So why was it done? All right, it was done by an act of obedience, and also that of foreshadowing the real and the ultimate. Ultimate being the greatest, ultimate also meaning the last sacrifice. The only one that is needed, in fact, and that is Christ Himself. And He cannot bring the law of Moses to an end unless He dies. It can't happen. It can't happen. You can't have His testament until He dies. And when He dies, there you have the old covenant, the Old Testament, the law of Moses, comes to its conclusion and is no more. And Christ now has authority, and it's not, He's not giving us a continuation of the law of Moses. He is giving us His law now. We also have this, 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 21. For He made Him, that is the Father, made Him, the Son, who knew no sin, to be sin for us, that we might become the righteousness of God in Him. You have the innocent dying for the guilty. That's what He is. The one who has no sin is, and the one who is the Son of God, He is the only one that can die for our sins. Now, I want us to come to Habakkuk 1 and 13. You are of purer eyes than to behold evil. You cannot look on wickedness. All right? This is Habakkuk speaking to Jehovah God. All right? Your eyes are too pure to behold evil. All right? Then he says, why do you look on those who deal treacherously and hold your tongue when the wicked devours a person more righteous than he? What Habakkuk is saying is God can in fact look upon the wicked. He can look upon sin. He can do it. Because Habakkuk is complaining about it. He's saying it should be you can't behold sin, but you do. It should be that you can't look upon wickedness, but there's obvious wickedness going on, and you don't seem to do anything about it. And it's a typical complaint that I want my enemies destroyed when I decide. All right, I want my enemies destroyed. If Jonah got to decide when Nineveh would be destroyed, well, it wouldn't be 40 days until. All right, he's not going to wait around for that. It would have happened yesterday. All right, and Habakkuk does not get to say who dies and when they die, but the fact is, he is saying God does look upon sin. Now, we're going to look at the crucifixion. Here's chapter 20, this is Psalm 22, verses 12 to 21, and the crucifixion is described firsthand. And I describe it as this, as though the one on the cross is penning these words. But it's done 900 years before we have the birth of Christ. It's 900 years and a few more till we have the crucifixion of Christ. But all these things are recorded, and it is though the one who is nailed to the cross, looking out, describing what he sees and describing his own condition. And it is in first person. Now that's going to, when we get into the next section, it's going to change from first person to third person, which can get kind of confusing. But the Bible does do that and requires a little bit more investigation into things. All right, so this is going to be kind of a looking back and forth on the scene between Christ and His enemies. What His enemies are doing and His condition. And it's going back and forth. So the first part of this is he's describing his enemies and what they're doing. So he describes in this way: many bulls have surrounded me, strong bulls of Bashan have encircled me. So I want us to look at this. You have these bulls and bulls of Bashan. And this later on, say, bulls have surrounded me. Verse 16, dogs have surrounded me. He changes the metaphor. He changes that up. And then he's going to clarify these metaphors, saying the congregation of the wicked. In case you were wondering, what does he mean, bulls and these strong bulls of Bashan and dogs? He is letting you know the congregation. I'm talking about the wicked, and I'm talking about a large group of them. I'm talking about actually hundreds, thousands, I don't know. A lot. But they're called the congregation of the wicked has enclosed me. And so you have these bulls, strong bulls of Bashan, dogs, there are other, lion, the power of the dog, going back to this. And we'll look at that in just a second. But all of it's clarified. We're talking about the congregation of the wicked. And this is how he describes his enemies in this. Bulls and strong bulls of Bashan. That is that Hebrew parallelism. And I also have it as we were just discussing it the other day in our Proverbs class. That of poetic escalation. It's not just bulls, it's strong bulls of Bashan. But understand, strong bulls of Bashan are not wild oxen. Strong bulls of Bashan, in Bashan, it was a very well-watered place with lots of very good pasture land. And evidently the cattle and all the livestock out there were exceptionally large and healthy because of it. Strong bulls of Bashan would be, I guess, some of the biggest that area of the world would have known. But he describes them as lions. And we have dogs, and then he comes back to the power of the dog. So it's the dogs have some sort of power, and obviously it is this, the sword. But we have the congregation of the wicked, the sword. So I put these in red because these are actually clarifying who the enemy is. And what's that power of the sword? I mean, what's that power of the dog? Power of the dog is the sword in all this. And then wild oxen. This is how he describes them. Now, verse 13, they gape at me with their mouths like a raging and roaring lion. So you have them now being described as a lion, and they are just looking at him. And later he will say, they look at me and stare. All right, they are gaping at me, at me with their mouths. They are, and of course they are saying all kinds of things, blasphemous things. And he is right there taking it all. And with these roaring lions, with this congregation of the wicked. Now, verse 14 and 15, he describes his condition, and also that the Father's involved in this. So he says, I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax, it has melted within me. He is describing how he feels, and emotionally how he feels. He feels as though he is just water and somebody just poured him out on the ground. All right, that's that. You've just been poured out. There is no coming back from that. There is no gathering that water back up into the pitcher. There is none of that. It's just poured out upon the ground, and that is that. My bones are out of joint, and that may be figurative, or that may be true. His shoulders may very well have been out of joint. I can't answer that question. Now, while his bones were not broken, it doesn't mean that his bones weren't out of joint. And he may very well have had his shoulders, if not other bones in his arms out of joint. I don't know. But he is discussing this agony. My heart is like wax. It has melted within me. There is no hope. At this moment, it's agony. At this moment, he has the weight of everything on him. It is a weight of eternity that's on him. The weight of, if Christ, in Luke chapter 15, Christ describes 100 sheep and one goes away. And he goes after that one sheep. That shows the love that he has for individual sheep. Well, what about the 100? Well, he has a greater love for them, and the good shepherd, gives his life for the sheep. That's what he does. And he is willing to do this for us. He is willing to go through this for us. There is nothing pleasant, there is nothing easy about this at all. My strength is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue clings to my jaws. Now this is, you have brought me to the dust of death. He's bringing in the Father in this. Who afflicted him? Well, we can go to Isaiah and see, yeah, it was the Father. It's the Father. It is by purpose, this is done. It is by purpose that there has to be a sacrifice, and it can only be the Son of God in this. But my strength is dried up like a potsherd. Okay, so what is a potsherd? Okay, that's a broken piece of pottery, is what that is. That is of where someone has busted up a pot or a cup or something like that, and it's just a fragment of it, a fragment of what it was, and is dried up like a potsherd, like we might say as dry as a bone. And of course, that is like a bone in the desert. But like this potsherd, it's just dry. It's out in the sun. And he says, my tongue clings to my jaws, which I tend to believe that's literal. I believe that is literal. That someone who is dehydrating and their mouth is so dry that their tongue will stick. Your tongue gets so dry, it will stick to the roof of your mouth or to your jaws on the inside of your mouth. It will do that. And I tend to believe that is literally what is happening. It's not just descriptive, a poetic description. It is literal in this. And this also is literal. You have brought me to the dust of death. You've done it. Now, I don't think that is in any way a complaint, but a statement of fact. And if he wanted to, he said he could ask of the Father, and there'd be 12 legions of angels, if he wanted to. And he had that power, but he doesn't do it. He's going to take this instead. Now, we just look at Isaiah 53, verse 4. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we esteem him stricken, smitten by God, and afflicted. Here's Isaiah saying this. He is bearing all our griefs. He is carrying all our sorrows. It's on him. He's the one that's doing it. It's as though all sorrow of the world, every mistake of the world, every sin of the world, everything that is bad of the world is compiled right on top of him. That's a weight. That is a weight. And he is willing to take it. He is willing to do it. And he's not doing it like some overpowered Superman. He still is in the flesh. And it is painful. And he is going through it all. And it hurts. Now, we go to verse 16, and he describes the enemy and what they have done. For dogs have surrounded me. So he does change this metaphor from that of bulls now to dogs. Dogs have surrounded me. The congregation of the wicked, we talked that he's now clarified that. Congregation of the wicked has enclosed me. They pierced my hands and my feet. All right, you can't get more specific than that. I have mentioned this on occasions that I have a Jewish Bible. It's just the Old Testament only. And it has Psalm 22 in it. they'll have it in there and proudly have it in there. But they don't have these words. They're not going to put those words on there. They've got to change it. They have to make it say something else, because this is too specific. This, if you know just a little bit concerning Jesus of Nazareth and how of what he claimed to be and what others claim him to be and how he died, you look at this and you see David just wrote about Jesus of Nazareth. It's impossible for David to be talking about anybody else. It's impossible for David to be writing this, and it is attributed to David. It's impossible for David to be writing this about himself. What does that even mean? Okay, this isn't poetic. This is literal. This is precisely what they have done to him. This is where it gets very, very specific. And it's no doubt, if we had no idea what this was about, now we do. Now we know. And once again, the Bible is very, very good at bringing about maybe having a chapter, maybe having a section that you're not quite sure what this is about, and all of a sudden it's right there. It's included in it. And that is a literary device. And that all of a sudden it's telling you what this is about. It's telling you, giving you a hint, giving you a clue. This is what it is about. Now, verse 17, Christ describes himself and the enemy. I can count all my bones. They look and stare at me. This is what and I tell you what, that's a scary sentence. They look and stare at me. You have these hundreds, thousands of people just watching. And they're watching he is put on the cross on the 3rd hour. At the 6th hour, that's noontime, it goes dark. And then he dies at the 9th hour, which is 3 in the afternoon. And so during that time, that is 6 hours, this is what they're doing. They look and they stare at me. And there would be those who are blaspheming. There would be those wondering what else is going to happen. You have total darkness that is occurring. All right, what else is going to happen here? And some, as we stated last week, believe that he called for Elijah when he says, my God, why have you forsaken me? He is saying it in Aramaic of Eli, Eli. And some, or Eloi, some are saying, are thinking he's calling for Elijah. Let's see if Elijah will come. Now, that could have been a mockery, or it could have been actually honestly thinking that's what he did and Elijah might come. Let's see. And I don't know which it is. I don't know if that was mockery and just, well, let's see if Elijah comes. Or if that was, oh, well, let's see if Elijah comes. You know, that'll be an astonishing thing to see. I'll say it would be, because you just, do you think it's possible? But why did you put him on the cross if you think that's possible? They look and they stare at me. They're watching him die. That's what they're doing. Now, verse 18. They divide my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots. We have mentioned this before, that in David's day, that'd be a strange thing. That's a strange statement to make. Who's going to be casting lots for your garments? Why would they divide garments and cast lots? In David's day, what's that even about? What does that even mean? Well, coming to the cross, and once again, in my Jewish Bible, Psalm 22, it won't say this. It doesn't render it this way, because that's too much. That's too close to admitting that Jesus of Nazareth is the Christ. That is way too close. Luke 23, verse 34, and Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they do. And I just want to make mention, they didn't ask for forgiveness. Now you have the thief on his right. Thief on his right is going to be forgiven. He is forgiven. But even he didn't ask for forgiveness. He just says, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Now you could say, well, he's implying it. Okay, he's implying it, but he didn't say it. And most certainly, these people didn't say it. He says, forgive them, for they do not know what they do. What kind of example is that? That's an example of somebody who can forgive. That's what that is. That's an example of someone who can forgive. And they divided his garments and cast lots. So the greatest act of love shown with the greatest act of callousness, of cruelty. They don't care. Well, you forgive us? We don't care. You forgive us? Well, cast the lots. I want to see what I win here. All right? This is the cruelty of man and the love of God being shown. And there's two extremes here in this one verse. It is, in fact, an extraordinary scene. And in John 19, verse 24, they said, therefore, among themselves, let us not tear it, but cast lots for it. Who shall it be, that the scripture might be fulfilled, which says, they divided my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots. Therefore the soldiers did these things. So it's quoting Psalm 22 in this, that this is right according to Scripture. Now, we come to this, and we're still in the crucifixion scene, and it is the third call for help and the answer. The answer in this. But you, O Lord, do not be far from me. O my strength, hasten to help me. So he's calling him Lord, obviously, and he's also calling him my strength. And he says, hasten to help me. He's on the cross. Hasten to help me. Then he says this, deliver me from the sword, my precious life, from the power of the dog. All right, I would say that the sword is at work. Deliver me from the sword. He's not saying keep me from the sword, because the sword's already there. If we're talking about, now no one's going to kill him with a sword. He's going to die on the cross. Now they're going to thrust a spear into his side, but he's already dead then. But the sword, I would argue, the sword is already at work. But he says, deliver me from it, and my precious life from the power of the dog. What's the power of the dog? Well, that is the power of that crowd. That's the power of that wicked congregation. That is what he's talking about. These mad people and the things that they are doing. Deliver me from this. From the sword, from the power of the dog. And he's saying, make my enemies powerless. That's what he's saying. Make them, take this away. Now verse 21. Save me from the lion's mouth, from the horns of the wild oxen. Then he says, you have answered me. And I underline this, because something extraordinary happens here. Something extraordinary. You have answered me. And we have to ask the question, how did God answer? We have to ask that question. How did God answer him? Because this is the last verse of despair. This is the last one. We get into verse 22, and it starts... It doesn't say save me or answer me. The next verse is, I will declare your name to my brethren. The next verse is completely different. We go from that of great sorrow and despair, of great anguish. Now it's different. And we get into the future tense. I will declare your name to my brethren. And this is linked to Hebrews 2, verses 11 and 12. The Hebrews writer quotes this to make a point and actually tells us who said this. I will declare your name to my brethren. Because we could be confused as to, did David say this? Or did somebody else say this? And the Hebrews writer makes it very clear. This is Christ. Christ will declare your name, that is the name of God, to my brethren. Now, you have answered me. What happened then? Was Christ taken from the cross, now spared any additional pain? The only thing that happened is that Christ died on the cross. It is finished. That, I think, and I may be wrong, but I think that is the answer from God. It is finished. It's done. Save me from the power of the dog. All right, the dog, the power of the dog only goes so far, and it doesn't go any further. Fear him who can take both body and soul and cast into hell. Don't fear those who can only affect your body. Don't fear those who can just kill. Don't worry about them. Fear the one that can do far more than that. He escaped the power of the dog when he died. Power of the dog has no power anymore. Not over him. Not at all. That sword has no power whatsoever anymore. He now rules with a rod of iron. He is you have answered me, I think is in fact Christ dies on the cross, because everything ends in that. And when Jesus had cried out with a loud voice, he said, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. Having said this, he breathed his last. Now, did the Father not hear this? Did the Father not hear, forgive them, for they know not what they do? Does he not hear these words? Into your hand I commit my spirit. John 19:30, when Jesus had received the sour wine, he said, it is finished. And bowing his head, he gave up the spirit. Or that is, in my way of thinking, God answers him. He answered him because from that point, it's done. Completed. And there is nothing but glory, honor, praise, victory, joy, everything that is good now. He has escaped the worst anyone could do, humanity and Satan. He has escaped all that, having gone through it, and now he is going to be crowned King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Now he begins his church and he begins his kingdom. And here we end this section. And the next section will go into that of the future. And there is nothing but joy and victory now for the rest of this psalm. And it is indeed a powerful psalm. And truly, there are points when I study and I study and I study and I think that I could do this for the rest of my life and never get to the end of it. Think that I could do this for the rest of my life and think about it for the rest of my life, and still I have not gone the depth of it. And think that if I put just a little bit more time, it will be worth it. And then just a little bit more time, and it will be worth it, and it will pay dividends. I will receive more out of this. And it is true. And I'm not saying at all that I have come to some grand, final knowledge in all this. I have not. And the only way to know that is, only way to have that is through Christ himself. The only way to have that. This evening, we are required in full obedience to Christ. in remaining faithful to Him. Every one of us will go through trials. That's why we're here. Every one of us will go through hardships, but God never gives us anything we cannot go through. Evidently, Jesus could go through this, and He did. It's put on His shoulders. He did. But was it a hardship? Yes. Did it cause a great amount of pain? Yes. But beyond that comes nothing but good. This evening, let's look at our lives. Let's make the adjustments. Let's do what we need to do. And if you need to respond to the invitation, we ask that you come as we stand and sing.